What's up, everybody? We're back for season 2 of Ask Chad Grassy Logic, episode 1. I'm here with my friends from Baked Chicken. We're going to have a good conversation today, and we're going to talk a lot about you guys. So thank you for joining me.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. Where were you guys out of, by the way?
We're in Barreno, so about halfway to El Paso, between Las Cruces and El Paso.
Okay, awesome. And if some of you don't know, we live in what's called the border area. So, El Paso, Texas is really close to us. So, there's a lot of people that sometimes live in El Paso and work here, or sometimes the backyards in Texas and their front of the houses in New Mexico. So it depends where you live. So anyway, thank you again for joining me. First off, I want to thank today's sponsor of the episode, Quality Packaging. Thank you for sponsoring today's episode. For your packaging needs, in compliance, great communication, many pricing packages, totally custom and on time. Contact Josh Villegas for business inquiries or estimates. Phone number is 575-571-6288, or you can head up the email at qualitycustom, custom with the K, 210@gmail.com. Thank you again for sponsoring this episode, and shoot them out if you guys need some packaging. Anyway, we're going to jump right in. We're going to start asking questions about Baked Chicken and get to know you guys a little better. So who is Baked Chicken?
Well, I am Tony Miller. I'm the general manager of the Baked Chicken Farm, and we are a vertically integrated cannabis facility up through manufacturing level 4. So we do everything in-house all the way up through extractions with solvent extractions, and everything before that as well. So solventless extractions, we'll make edibles, we'll make water-soluble drinks, of course, flour, pre-rolls, basically the whole gamut, the cartridges, disposables, C-cells. We're going to make all of that stuff in-house.
Cool. So you guys are going to, be really versatile and kind of provide a lot of things.
Yes, absolutely. We're trying to do everything in-house that we can. As the market develops and we start to see what people are after, the things that are in the real peripheral edges of the market to me is like lotions and potions and tinctures and things like that. Right now, we're not intending to. It's not on the plan to do it, but it may be in the future as this thing develops and we see where it goes.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you for that. You had quite a bit into that, and I appreciate that. How long have you worked in the cannabis industry?
Well, it hasn't always been legal, but I've been in the industry for about 25 years, probably. I started growing in Colorado when I moved up there just about 98. So I started growing up there about 2000 or so.
Okay. Yeah. Just right before they went medical, right?
That was way before they were medical. I actually left there 10 years later and moved back to New Mexico before Colorado was even legal. So everything was always kind of hush-hush back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Well, we all remember that. So a chicken farm, how did that come about? Really start a farm and everything on that.
The chicken farm, we called it the Baked Chicken Farm to pay homage to it because it was a chicken farm. It was an egg farm, not a meat farm.
Okay.
But it was previously owned by Land of Lakes, and there was 3 million chickens there, I was told, up until about the mid-90s.
Okay.
It's on a 200-acre property, and when Land of Lakes closed the chicken portion of it, they still farmed the land around it, but closed the actual indoor barns that had the actual birds in them.
Okay.
And the birds went away.
Yeah.
And from what I was told, that was in the mid-90s. So they've been gone for a long time. They've been gone 25 years already. From that facility. So then we just went in there and tried to figure out how we could use the property to convert it into a cannabis facility. And the flooring in there, if you guys want to come out and take a tour, I'd be happy to give you a tour. But the floor in there is a stair-stepped floor where they had slots for basically the scraper that would come underneath the birds and scrape the poop out. And the birds were all suspended in cages from the ceiling so that there was nothing touching the floor. And the whole entire building slopes downhill one direction. So it's 550 feet long.
Okay.
It's 50 feet wide, and it all leans down to one end. So we went in there and divided each one of those into 5 buildings. So there are 100 feet in each room. And with all of the natural sloping and stuff, we went in and came up with a system to put trays to do drain to waste with cocoa bags on top of that, and we do all drain to waste. I repurpose the water. It's called drain to waste because it doesn't go back through the cannabis, but we do recycle the water and repurpose it to the rest of the 200-acre farm.
There's a few places that do that.
Yeah, it's kind of one of the good things that needs to be happening as far as the way this industry grows, because you got to do something with that runoff water. it's valuable water, and it needs to be used on a plant somewhere to clean the water up.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to just be running it down the drain. But we went in and came up with a plan to convert it into a cannabis facility, and it's worked out really well so far. And now we're still in the construction processes of finishing out the manufacturing side. So
Cool.
production with the plant side is fully up and running. The manufacturing side is getting close. I'm going to say a month from having the construction done, and then we'll get into inspection phases, and then after inspection, it'll be up and running.
Cool. So you guys are still going, and
still going. Yep.
It never stops. That's the thing about it.
Evolving. It's supposed to evolve forever, hopefully.
Yeah, it's ever evolving, especially
Yep.
with this industry and everything and the way things go. How many plants are you guys growing out there?
So I have 850 plants in each room and 10 rooms, so 8,500 plants flowering, and another 4,000 in veg, más or menos, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
So about 1,250.
Okay.
12,500, somewhere in that neighborhood, depending on what day of the week it is, if they've just been harvested or if we have an extra set of clones coming out.
Yeah. Because I know that's a lot of plants to take care of, even on the veg side and the flower side.
It is a lot. I'm staffed up right now. Of course, the office staff and my construction crew still, and the manufacturing crew that we're using to put all this together. I'm at 37 people employed out there right now.
Gotcha. Well, that's a lot of area to cover, and looks like you guys are doing pretty good for yourselves. So
it takes a lot to get it done, and I couldn't do it by myself. That is for sure. And I have a really, really good team that I lean on and does a really good job of keeping the production side moving forward, so that I can kind of lean on the manufacturing side to get it done.
Yeah.
To get the construction stuff done.
Nice. Yeah. Always got to delegate.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, what are some of your favorite cultivars that you guys are growing right now?
We typically have about 15 cultivars in rotation out there, but some of my favorites so far, taste and smell wise, Nimbus Snacks, God's Breath, Garlic and Bananas.
Nice.
There's some odd strains out there, Midnight Runts, Apple Fritter. Some of them are fairly common, but they're also slight derivatives of some other strains, just like everybody else's.
Everything is so hybridized these days that there's really no pure anything. It's just a mix of something. Which, don't get me wrong, we did that on purpose.
Fact.
But at the same time, we got rid of this is all sativa, this is all indica, or something like that. It's all mixed. So it is what it is, but it's an ever evolving industry. There's still some land races that are out there, but you don't really run into them on the legal market as much as you used to.
It's just like any industry. You're going to take the best of the best every year, and as the industry grows year after year, using the best of the best, you're going to evolve to be the best of the best. And what you started with is not going to be a comparison at all after X amount of years.
Because we're stabilizing the genetics.
Everything, yeah.
Everything. We're like 60 years behind, regular farming and their stabilization of genetics. We're still getting there with cannabis.
It doesn't matter if we were breeding pigs or dairy cows or anything. You're going to use the best of the best all the time, and it's going to evolve genetically to be what it is today.
100%. Bananas didn't start the way they are today. Right?
That's a fact.
So where can people find your products?
If you want to go online, you can look at bakedchickenfarm.com. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. If you look on there, there are some different spots to see which dispensaries we're in. We're on a bunch of dispensaries on the east side of the state, a few locally here, and a few up towards Albuquerque. We have been wholesaling product now, I think, for about coming up on 4 months.
Okay.
And so we're just getting into the stages of getting this stuff out and getting in a constant rotation and motion to get this stuff through. Testing, the delay in testing has definitely weighed on the whole areas of getting this stuff out in a timely manner. So we're just trying to get everything in line where we're always in a constant rotation. Harvest, cure, trim, test, sell, and it's taken a while to get all of that into rotation, but we're there now.
Definitely. You guys are getting there. It's a process. A lot
it
of
is a
people think
process.
It's flip the light switch on or flip it off, and you're good to go. But it's a whole process, and it takes a while to get it going. Especially zeroing it in on a large scale. That takes a while. So I'm glad you guys took your time and you're able to zero it in and get it.
We are definitely still dialing. I'm not going to say that we're not completely dialed in, because we're not dialed in, and we do strive to be the best. And right now it is not 100% the best of what I'm looking for, and we will continue to tweak it till we get there. But we're still knocking out some really killer product. I mean, you can go on our website and see test results and things like that, and see where we're on with THC. And we are 100% indoor facility with all LED lights. So indoor grown marijuana is typically going to be a little bit lower on the THC side, but we are a super clean facility, so there's no pesticides being used. There's no sprays being used. I do a foliar with nutrients, but that's a food program for the plants. Everything that we do there is biological pest control. We don't have bugs in the facility, but we use biological bugs as predators to monitor the facility and keep the facility clean. So we try to do everything as biological as we can. And so the product just ends up a better product, being clean indoor product, climate controlled, all the way through till it's in a bag.
Nice. Yeah. And, with the industry moving, well, the customer base moving more towards, the terpene profile and like the full spectrum, as people call it, the higher THC is becoming less and less of a thing. Here in New Mexico, it's still a thing, but in other places, it's starting to change. And I feel that, is coming for New Mexico. So, I mean, if you guys put out good, terpene cannabis, you should be all right.
It's you got to taste it. You got to, you got to smoke it. The proof is in the pudding, so to speak. And you have to smoke it to see what it is, because it's more than just the high. It's more than just the flavor. It's more than just the smell. To me, it's a combination of all that are going to put it on the shelf and be a home run winner. And that's what we're striving for constantly.
I mean, what I'm saying is the THC level doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
At the end,
17%, and if I enjoy everything, I would like it better than 30%. And a lot of the times, that's more the case than not.
And you get to your newer smokers, so to speak, the ones that are just kind of coming into it because it's now legal. They don't necessarily want a 30% THC.
I mean, sometimes I don't.
They're not trying to get completely obliterated by the 30% THC. So we're really trying to be in there with full flavor, full spectrum for everybody. And of course, you're not going to please everybody, but we try to, be in the middle of the road here as far as we can be with the.
And that's fair.
With everything.
Spoken like a true grower. So it's great to hear, and it's really refreshing to hear that people are focusing more than just THC. It's like the whole around experience, for the customer.
I want to run every strain that we have at least twice to run through and make sure that we didn't mess something up the first time before we pick the strains that we're sticking with. And we're just now kind of getting into some of those that have come around twice now. And so we're starting to see what strains we really want to stick with and really push going forward from here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for talking to me about the grow. I love talking about grows. I've been growing for about 11 years, so something I always love.
Seems like that's all I talk about.
I can talk about it all day. So I'm like, oh wait, we got to talk about growing for a minute. So, do you guys have any retail spots?
So the retail spot is built but not open yet. It is at 2702 West Amador. And it's paired with a coffee and waffle shop called the Roasted Rooster.
Okay. So that's here in Cruces?
It is here in Cruces. Okay. It's over by the truck stops down where Amador and Motel Boulevard intersect there.
Okay.
The Roasted Rooster is open. We are open 7 days a week there, from 6 in the morning till 10 at night, Monday through Friday, and from 8 to 8 on Saturdays and Sundays. The dispensary is paired next to it, but they're not associated with each other. So the coffee shop is just a standard coffee and waffle shop, as far as standard waffles go, because we do have delicious sandwiches and things like that, as well as breakfast waffles. But the dispensary is not in the waffle and coffee shop. So they are two separate businesses. But the dispensary, I'm hoping if we can get enough of our manufactured products on hand that we're going to manufacture in-house with approved packaging, we can hopefully get them on the shelf maybe mid-March or April 1 and try to get the dispensary open.
Cool. And again, I really appreciate you guys taking your time to get a product out there. It's kind of like the Apple, that a lot of people make a comparison. Android has this, Android has that. But if you look at Apple, they do adapt it later on down the road. But when you get it, it works. It always works how it's intended. And so it kind of feels the same thing that, it may take a little bit for you guys to get there, but once you get it, it works. And so that's good to hear, that you guys, really took your time on that. And so, I'm sure the customer base really appreciates it too. I can't wait to try some waffles.
Yeah, I invite you to come down anytime. Which seems like we're open all the time.
Right. And what do you guys just do, waffles, or what kind of other foods can they expect from you?
So there's tea, coffee, waffles, and the waffles are from like breakfast waffles all the way through Parmesan chicken sandwiches, baked chicken and waffles is one of our #1 with a peanut sauce on it.
Baked chicken and waffles. I love that.
We just tried to do a little bit of different things up there. The all-in-one waffle is one of my favorites. So I do the sausage one, which is sausage, egg, and cheese in the waffle, in the iron, all baked together. So I love it because I go through the drive-through and it's not a messy sandwich to try to eat while I'm driving.
Yeah.
As far as dinner sandwiches and stuff go, we have some sliders with pulled pork, brisket, that are just, it seems a little bizarre to have a sandwich on a waffle, but it really comes together and it really pairs up well. And then we have at night as well some dessert waffles with a bubble waffle with scooped ice cream and root beer floats and those kinds of things.
Are those different breeds of
That's
chickens?
everything. You got that.
Oh,
So
that's
that's good.
hilarious.
So
Yeah,
every
yeah.
name is a different breed of a chicken. Yes,
I'm a
sir.
chicken guy. So
Okay.
it makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. I've
The
had chickens
people that
and
are
ducks.
chickens know right away when
Yeah.
they get there.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's hilarious. So
All they
one
got to
thing
read
that,
is about
you
2
showed
of
me
them.
real quick, I had a question. I'm kind of curious about it. Is it look like something in a jar, like fruit in a jar with something in it?
Agua
What is that?
frescas. So Daniel's
Look.
making fresh agua frescas every day from fresh
Oh
fruit.
wait, it's not actually these. Like all the way up to almost like where the waffles were. Yeah, a little further, a little further, a little further, a little right here, right there. Those jars.
Oh, those are salads.
Oh, those are salads.
And the others are yogurt.
Oh, those are yogurt. Okay.
So it's a salad in a jar.
Okay.
And then when you flip it over and dump it out, that's when the dressing and everything gets on it.
That's really cool.
Because it's all underneath.
So it's for the people that are the working person.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good to hear. And so tell me more about this agua fresca too.
So Daniel Gonzalez is the general manager of the retail shop and the Roasted Rooster as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been in the industry as far as drink masters and bartending and such for a long, long time. But he makes custom agua frescas with fresh fruits that they blend and strain and pair with other fruits together to make agua frescas.
Nice.
They typically have 3 or 4 flavors, 4 or 5 flavors every day, all from fresh fruits.
Oh, cool. I mean, that's always good to hear because sometimes when you get an agua fresca, you don't know if it's from powder or if it's from real fruit, because sometimes they add like a little bit of fruit in there, and so they try to fool you, but it's good to hear that it comes from real fruit.
If I'm not mistaken, the only thing he uses is some high quality lemonade that comes in that we purchased that is a custom squeeze lemonade.
Yeah.
Everything else is blended fruit that he's doing there and straining.
That's cool. That's good to hear. That sounds yummy because whenever you get that, it's always a better agua fresca than
the lemonade is just a pairing inside it. I know he does what's the palm juice, pomegranate.
Ooh,
there's a pomegranate. Of course, we're not squeezing pomegranates.
That's a pain.
We're pouring some. We get pomegranate juice, but we buy high quality palm juice.
Yeah.
But as far as anything that's available as a fresh fruit, from the garden or from the seasonally, they're using it.
So no powder. That's good.
No powders. Not the strawberries. The strawberry and blueberry syrups that he uses are all cooked down fruits that he makes in house. Everything's as fresh and local as we can get. We're pairing with local farmers for pecans and for anything else that we can get as far as the coffee beans and whatever we can serve locally and seasonally.
That's cool. I've noticed that people in New Mexico kind of appreciate that more, and the flavor's always a little bit better.
It is a farming community, so farmers lean on farmers for sure.
100%. Got to support each other.
Yep.
So what are the plans for Baked Chicken as a whole, as a company?
Hopefully our next move is going to be down into the Sunland Park, Santa Teresa area, and possibly up to the Highway 70 Sonoma Ranch area in that facility, up in that general neck of the woods. But again, still pairing it, the Roasted Rooster with the dispensary. The combination of the two has so far proven to be very viable, and everybody's very excited about it. The waffles, it seemed like I thought we would be real busy in the mornings and not so busy at night, and I thought we would sell more breakfast waffles than anything, and I'm wrong. It's more the savory sandwich waffles, and it's more busier from lunchtime to dinner than it is for breakfast. And breakfast is still busy, don't get me wrong, but it is more of a lunch and dinner place. It's great.
And it's always funny to hear because we always have these pre notions that the customer's gonna love this, and it ends up being something totally different.
Totally
like,
different.
You love that?
Totally different. Yeah.
So it's always funny. It's always funny how that goes. It's always the case too. So awesome. So where can people find you guys online? Like at social media and websites and stuff.
We're on Facebook, Instagram, bakedchickenfarm.com, Snapchat, basically all the social media platforms. If you get into one of them, I think they all have a link to lead you to the other ones. If you're looking for flour, you're going to be at the bakedchickenfarm.com. There is a section in there for wholesalers to look and see what we have strain wise. And there is a section for general public to look at for information. And then we have the roasted rooster nm.com, which will get you to the menu for the roasted rooster for seeing what you want to go with. Eventually we will have online ordering, and we haven't pulled the trigger on that one just yet. It is set up, but it's a little more difficult to actually launch. So right now it's just not available to order online, but it will be very soon.
Nice. That's good to hear. New Mexico really expanded that, allowed online ordering, delivery, all that good stuff.
Again, doing it right or not doing it at all. And if we can't do it right, and we're still tweaking our menu too much to keep up with the online stuff, because as soon as we change something in-house and it doesn't get changed on the online order, somebody puts in an order, it's not even available. It starts a whole process of, now what do we do?
You want the overall customer experience.
We want it to be right or not at all. It's got to be Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
it's got to be Chick-fil-A. And everybody knows what I mean when I say that.
That's good to hear. Well, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to continuing this conversation with you on the other topics. So, thank you, everybody, and Big Chicken again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So once again, I want to give a shout out to Quality Packaging for sponsoring today's episode. Find them on Instagram at Quality Customs with a K. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about the 2024 legislative session. It's underway already. Pre-filing started, I believe, the 1st or the 2nd. I think it was the 2nd. And right now what that means is you can put a bill in. It's not being heard or anything. They're just kind of piling bills in. I went to check this morning, and there's quite a few bills that pertain to cannabis. We'll get into that a little bit more. As you guys know, the session is either a 30-day session or a 60-day session. On the odd years, it is a 60-day session. The even years are 30-day sessions. So we're in the even year. This year is a 30-day session. It's going to be a lot shorter this year, obviously, than a 60-day session. We don't have much time really to do anything. So, hang on, what's going on? Oh, okay, cool. We can edit that. So we don't have much time. Now you got to edit. So we don't have much time this year really to get much done other than trying to change a few things, because next year we'll have a 60-day session. That's usually when we have time to do really long bills. It's because if you guys remember in 2021, it took a special session for us to even get cannabis passed. It was a really long bill, don't get me wrong. It was over 100-something pages, I think almost 200 pages long. But it did get passed, and it took a special session. What are some things that you kind of, hope to see, come from the session, some changes maybe?
I don't know exactly where they're at with things that they're trying to change or add.
Okay.
I haven't gotten into the bill currently to see what they're trying to do. As far as what they're doing, I need the legislative people to get CCD up to speed to be in congruence with what the industry really is in the state.
Yeah.
We need CCD answering questions and doing stuff in a more timely manner, pulling inspections on people. If we're going to do it right, everybody needs to be doing it right. There needs to be some sort of enforcement where licenses are being checked, packaging is being checked, products are being checked. There's a lot of out-of-state product coming into this state, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's happening. Mm-hmm. And it just, if everybody's going to play by the same rules, we need to be playing by the same rules. And so as far as I'm concerned, in the legislative, it's not really a legislative piece. It's more of CCD and them needing to get more staffing and more things up to speed on their end to be in congruence with the size that the industry turned into be in such a short period of time.
Yeah, and they're asking for more funding, and they're actually asking for more power, because they're having an issue right now shutting certain places down because they only have power to do so much.
They need it. They need the power.
They do, and I agree, because if they don't, we're going to end up with a crazy, overlapped, weird, lumpy system program, and it's going to look bad.
Kind of already is.
Yeah, and without them intervening, it's going to stay there, because there's a lot of players in this industry that don't belong here.
Yep.
They're doing it wrong. They're hurting people. They're screwing people over, and they just don't belong They just don't belong here, and they should be taken out. And unfortunately, they just don't have that power. And I think this session they do need to do that, because a lot of things are, oversaturation. That would be one of the ways to fix it. Also, with so the DEA coming with their response, that's going to help too. We'll talk about that more here in a little bit, though. I just wanted to mention that, because that is going to be something that's going to be a key factor on shutting more places down that don't belong here, and I'll explain more here in a little bit. So we'll move on and talk about more of the legislation session of what I hope to hear, because that was actually a really good point. And CCD does need a lot more power, because without that, we're going to end up in a really bad place here very quickly.
Power and people.
Yeah.
They just don't have enough people to cover the state.
Yeah. I saw the RLD truck yesterday coming back into town, and I was like, dang, that guy's probably driving all over, poor dude.
we need. I welcome the inspections. You know what I mean? I wish they had more staff to inspect everybody twice a year or 3 times a year, and make the industry in the state the best it can be.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it the best, go somewhere else.
Yeah. And I preach that all the time on my show. Please do it right. Try to follow all compliances. And the CCD is doing it for a reason. There's a lot of health and safety that goes into it as well. If you're not doing it right, you might be hurting somebody.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm glad that that's something that I hear from the industry too as well. So there is actually quite a few bills that are introduced, and I was actually going to explain what some of them are in it, so you get a first look of what's really in there and kind of
Sure.
Get a take. So this year, one of the things that I really hope to see myself, and this is just a personal thing, is them talking about taxes. In 2025, the taxes are due to go up from 10 to 12%. And if that happens, we could see an increase of traditional market activity in the state due to that, because we'll be at an overall tax of about 22% now, instead of the overall 20% in certain areas, of course, of the state, depending where you live. And that is almost like a threshold of 20%. And that's already too high. And a lot of the residents in the state have a hard time affording just that. And so if we allow it to continue to 2023 or 2030, that goes all the way to a total of 26%. And it would be at 18% before local and state taxes get into to effect. That's how we get up to a 20% now, is because of the way that the tax is going. So if that happens and we increase the taxes all the way to that, or even just next year, the 2% that is going up, we could see a lot of illicit activity because people just won't be able to afford it. One thing that I kind of threw out there that would help is we lower the tax for local residents and keep this increasing tax for out-of-state purchases, meaning the people that are probably purchasing from Texas.
Definitely see some of those.
Yeah. We see about 1 or 2 of those, a year maybe. So if we tax the out-of-state people at a rate like this, or a little higher than what we tax the in-state people, we'll see less illicit activity in the state, because the residents have a cheaper outlet. And then the tourists come in; they usually pay a premium on anything, anyways. They should be okay with that as well. So I'm not too sure. How do you feel about something like that yourself, as like a business owner? Like the taxes increasing.
I don't definitely want to see taxes increasing.
No one wants that.
It definitely costs a lot after you give them the price of the product, and then you come back and hit them with another 20% on top of that. They're like, well, I thought you just told me a price.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's tax. It's just like anything at the store, but they're used to a 6, 7, 8% tax at the normal store. Something reasonable. The other thing is too, I believe this state still has free tax for medical patients, correct?
Yes,
I think it's tax free. So that is one avenue to try to beat some of those issues, is to have a medical card, and making those more readily available is also something that the state could do.
And I know I sound like I'm complaining about something crazy, because here in California, it's crazy. I know you guys are tax crazy in California, but for New Mexico, we're
this
very
ain't California.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. This isn't California, guys. And this tax right here would hurt our residents if we keep allowing it to increase. So I think this year we have to tackle this, because next year it does increase. And so if we tackle this year, we can at least get ahead next year. When it comes to the new bill, we don't even have to worry about that part. It's already done. We can worry about the things that do need to happen. I feel micros need more cannabis plants. That's one thing that I've kind of seen overall from the micros themselves, saying we just need more plants. Like 200 just doesn't cut it. And I get it; they can buy more, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But it kind of becomes annoying when you got to do that instead of just getting the plants and kind of building out yourself. So that's one thing that I have seen kind of proposed in one of the bills, was increasing plant counts for the micros. So that's good to see. And I'll tell you guys a few of the bills. There's actually a whole page and a bunch of bills that have cannabis in there. I have to go through them myself, because I just looked this morning and I was like, oh man, I'm going to be busy this weekend. But I'm going to be in Eastern New Mexico too, so it's going to be a little bit different. So with the 30-day session, I've mentioned this before many times, they usually just worry about the budget. And that's the reason why it's so hard to get this stuff passed. And that's why I feel passing something like this, a tax change, will be a lot easier. It'll be a smaller bill, and you can get it to the chambers a lot quicker. Because sometimes things just get killed over in a committee, and we all know how that heartbreak is. ensure you guys are watching my socials and everything, because I'm going to keep everybody up to date on what's going on. You know, like if the bill is introduced, if there's a committee hearing going on, I'll send links for the webcast so you guys can watch the committee hearings. I put it on my TV, throw popcorn at the TV, and cuss at people. So you guys can do the same yourself if you like. You know, if that tickles your fancy. I do it so that way I know exactly what's being said from my representatives and how they're representing me. You know, it's a way that, you know, the state can be transparent. We know that the people that we voted for are doing the jobs. And, you know, if you're in the cannabis industry, you know, everyone is an advocate. If you're, you know, a cannabis user, cannabis, you know, person working in the industry, we're all advocates for this industry because we want it to work and we want it to be an industry for us, the people and the people that work in it. Especially the customers, because they dictate what, you know, what we do.
Yeah, without customers, we have nothing.
Yeah, exactly. We have nothing without our customers. So thank you so much for purchasing all the cannabis you guys have, because you guys have purchased a lot.
Thanks for smoking.
Yeah. Was it like $500 million?
It's getting up there. I saw a $30 million report from Sunland Park.
Yeah, from January to November. Yeah, that was a lot of cannabis. So again, just keep an eye out for those guys. Make sure you're following everything, so that way you can get a clue what's going on and know exactly what's to come in this following year, because laws change every year, bills get introduced every year. Let's just hope that, you know, nothing crazy gets introduced here in New Mexico. But I got a couple here that I'll talk about now. So we have a few bills that were introduced, like I said. So the first one I'm going to talk about is HB157. What that stands for is House Bill. So it means that someone in the House introduced this bill, and this has to deal with packaging requirements. Pretty much, it's just saying in solidification and like in stone, you cannot use cartoons. You cannot use celebrities' likeness, like those Tyson ears. That well, actually, those were Evander ears. Excuse me. Yeah. That Tyson was selling. So here in New Mexico, you can't do that, or that's what this bill says. And again, guys, for those who aren't really sure how the process works, just because a bill is introduced and it's in our legislature doesn't mean that it's going to pass and become a law. It has to go through the House. It has to go through the Senate. Then it has to go to the governor's desk. But within the House and the Senate, they have to go to individual committees. And sometimes they have 4 to 5 committees. Hopefully they don't get that many. But that is the process that it goes through. And that's in both chambers. So they have to pass all of that, go to the floors, pass both of them. And it can start in the Senate or it can start in the House. Doesn't really matter. Flip-flops. Just has to go through both. Then it goes to the governor. It's up to her to sign it or not. So it has a long way to go. And we have 30 days to do this. That's why I'm saying I don't know if many to all of these are really going to go anywhere. Next, I'll talk about HB 158. That one is a DWI thing, and there's another one in there that's similar that has to do with saliva tests, a roadside saliva test that they're going to be doing. And I remember last year they had something in it too, but I don't think they quite knew what to do. It was more or less looking for something for a roadside test. I think they found something, and it's a saliva testing. And I'm going to be quite frank. It looks pretty graphic on how you got to do it. It looks it's like a little rocket you put in your mouth, and you got to suck on it like a sucker. And then that's the way that they collect the sample.
It's a sponge, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the way they collect the sample to see if you're currently stoned. Is it accurate? I don't know. It would be kind of cool for some of the citizens to get it and kind of try it. I kind of wish that they would do this in like a controlled environment instead of like sending the police out with it randomly. It's all right, go try it on people. And, you know, if they get charged, whatever. But if we find out it doesn't work, whatever. Yeah. You know, I kind of wish it was more in an environment like that. So I have to read these bills and kind of see what exactly they're going to do with this to see if, you know, the community should support it. What do you think about these so far?
You know, I'm not a big DUI fan, but
not either,
we can't you can't just be rolling around all wasted either. So
yeah,
they've got to come up with some way of doing it as long as it's accurate. And the thing with marijuana, again, it's in your system for 30 days or more. And so coming up with an accurate system that shows that you're currently high and not something that happened yesterday, as long as that's accurate, we're going to have something. Yeah. You can't be driving around drunk for the same reason. Yeah. It just needs to be an accurate test. If it is accurate, then I'm a firm believer. But if we're just going to start, you smell like weed, you get a DUI, then that's not going to fly either.
Yeah, and you know, there's some language in one of these bills that, you know, pretty much solidify that, you know, smell is not probable cause, and so that really helps because, you know, police do that all the time, and I think the legislature saw that and saw the issues that came from the way the wording was. I was like, okay, we got to, you know, kind of, you know, just make it solid so that way no one can really go around it and kind of screw people over. So yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, because, you know, I want something that's just accurate. You know, if it's just a test that, you know, you can fool with sugar, you know, like some of the others that we know we've had in the past, you know, that's not right, you know, and we shouldn't be doing that, you know, especially here in a state where people are really poor. That's not fair. So the next bill that I'm going to talk about, and I'm only going to give you guys a few. This is just an example of what's in there, just a little handful. This is going to be the Cannabis Regulation Act changes, and that's pretty much what it's called. This one is the one that is calling to increase microplant counts. I'm not sure if it has anything in it, like, license closure or anything like that. So I knew you guys were going to ask me questions like that later. And you guys can look for yourselves too. I always try to post the NM Legis website so you guys can look at these bills, and I usually post the links. So I'm not too sure what else it has in it. It doesn't seem like anything crazy. If you look on the bills, anything underlined is something new, anything crossed out, something they're taking out. So keep that in mind. The next bill I want to talk about is HB 331. So this is going to be pretty much correcting the language in the CRA when it comes to background checks. Because as of right now, the state can't do federal background checks due to a mess up in the language that they did. It didn't comply with federal regulations, of course, like, the bureaucratic system that it is. And they have to update it so that way that the federal government can actually do background checks here, because I guess we've had a couple of instances where people got through the cracks that shouldn't have been in the industry, who had a lot of federal charges, and it caused some issues. That person is no longer in the industry, from my understanding, which is good. But with this change right here, we could see a little bit more of a crackdown and less people in the industry that shouldn't be here. Essentially, they just won't be able to renew their license. So to me, that seems like a plus. I haven't read the bill fully yet to see exactly what it says to really give a yay or nay or support. But I will, as the session goes on, of course, update all of you on some of these bills that are actually getting through legislature, getting hearings, and what could change. So what do you kind of feel so far with these, though?
Again, everybody needs to be doing it right. And if you're not meeting the requirements, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
And so if these changes are going to give them the ability to make sure everybody's doing it right, we need it.
Yeah, I agree.
I think some of this is just kind of correcting some of the problems that they thought that they had the ability to do something with, that they really don't.
Yeah.
And so now they're trying to get a little bit of power to be able to pull people's licenses and actually shut them down and lock their doors, where some of that stuff is not doable at this point.
Yeah. And hopefully it's something that isn't just meant to just shut licenses down just to shut them down. Hopefully it's fair, and it's the reason to shut them down to do something bad, illegal, et cetera, et cetera.
Inspections, time for corrections, all of those kinds of things. But there needs to be a line drawn in the sand that it's this or it's not. You're either doing it right or you're not. And if you're not, we need to be doing something different.
100%. Yeah.
There's way too much money invested in the people that are doing it right to allow the people that just come in from the sides and bring out of state product is the biggest issue.
Yeah.
And then get it into BioTrack and get it into this state unfairly, unduly, unjustly.
And that's actually another bill that I saw in there. I didn't mention it in this, but it's a tracking system bill. I haven't read it, haven't opened it. I don't know what it says, but I do know that there's a bill that's introduced to do something with our tracking. I don't know if it's to get us a new tracking system or if it's for the state to create one like they tried the last time in the other bill. But I'll update you all once I figure it out. But there is something in there when it pertains to tracking. I do feel personally, this is a personal opinion, that we do need a better tracking system. It's very flawed. People can manipulate it very easily. We've seen that over and over, and a lot of people have told me through the industry, and I've seen it myself. And we need something new, and this is kind of an old system that kind of needs to be updated.
It needs to be updated for sure. There is a lot of manipulation, even if you have to go in and put an excuse or a description of what happened. CCD doesn't have enough people to be monitoring what they're really doing. And so there's just a lot falling through the cracks that if the people that were reviewing that information knew what they were looking at, there would be a lot of red flags that would come up, and they would be looking at other people for other reasons.
Yeah, 100%. So I like that, and I agree, because I kind of hope that these bills altogether end up just closing a lot of loopholes and helping us in the long run. We probably won't get something big until next year, but one or two things helps, for now, until we can get a longer session, which I just wish all our sessions were a little longer, but there's nothing we can really do about that right now.
I did see something too. I think they're talking about an amendment with alcohol.
Oh, to allow
cross business, not in the same facility,
but to allow you to have the license. Yeah, because I thought that was dumb. So hopefully they change that too, because you should be allowed to have a liquor license and a cannabis license.
Two separate businesses,
two separate entities. But you should be able to do that as an entrepreneur in a capitalist society.
This state is very anti-business. Sometimes it seems like.
Yeah, and sometimes it feels like that in the cannabis industry. So hopefully they can change that, and something can change positive. So thank you anyway for that conversation and your point of views and opinions on that, because the industry opinions really do matter, especially when it comes to something like this.
If they had somebody like myself reading the bio track descriptions and things, it takes one to know one. The problem is they just don't have the people that know what's going on, that are reading the descriptions of why things are being removed from BioTrack, which allows them to most of the time put it out onto the black market.
Yeah, because they couldn't pass testing.
Yeah, whatever the reason may be. And if they had the right people sniffing around in those notes in the BioTrack, I think they would be finding a little bit more that is being reported and nobody's catching.
Oh, so it's in front. It's right under their nose. They're just not reading it.
It's under their nose.
Yeah. Check your notes.
Check your notes.
All right, so we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about the DEA. And I know, no one wants to talk about the DEA or the feds. F the feds, I get it. But this is actually something good, kind of. So the DEA, they responded officially, and they announced that they are actually now reviewing the Human and Health and Services recommendations of moving cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. What this means is that DEA is currently, as we're having this podcast and recording it, that they are reviewing all of the facts that the HHS has sent them and more. So that is actually good news, because that means we could hear a final decision within late spring or early summer at the earliest. Latest would be closer to election year or election time, because this is an election year. And I think that's the reason why we're on a sped up timeline with them and the way they're going about it, the route that they are. As you guys know, it's a presidential election. When things like that happen, a lot of weird things start to happen politically. Of course, all the ads start to come up, and it's really annoying. I just hope my mailbox isn't full of those freaking flyers.
They will be. They will be. What a waste of money.
I can always hope. I know. I got so much paper.
So much paper.
So a couple of weeks ago, as I said, the DEA did announce that they are officially reviewing it. What this means is they could reschedule, deschedule, or do nothing at all. What I do feel they're going to do is they're going to go with Human Health and Services recommendations of Schedule 3. It's very rare to see a federal entity go against another federal entity's recommendation on that point, unless they have significantly more evidence, aka us as the industry and people contacting them and letting them know that no, this is what we need for that reason. I hope that you all use that as a hint to contact your representatives and to contact the DEA directly to at least give them your opinion. As a taxpayer, you at least should give them what you think and believe. I understand that the DEA is the final say in this decision right here, but we still can tell them how we feel, and that might help.
Not to mention that they just went through and Schedule 1 all the deltas, all the CBD products.
They did, yeah,
they just did that too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of peculiar that you take the Delta products and put them Schedule 1 while you're reviewing the rescheduling of marijuana. But
yeah, because it probably means they're going to move them to Schedule 3.
I'm not the director of the DEA either.
Yeah, me neither. I don't pay that guy. Well, I guess my tax. I don't pay him directly like that. So yeah. It's good that we're getting the DEA to tell us this and to let us know. It's just the industry is very afraid of Schedule 3. There's a lot of people who are happy, about Schedule 3, but there are some things that come with it that are pros, and there's some things that come with it that are cons. The pros would be, of course, we don't pay $280 anymore. Yay. The con would be that we now have to deal with more alphabet boys or more federal entities. That would be the downside. We're going to have to get ready for that day. So getting prepared now would probably be a good idea to figure out who we're going to have to deal with, what we're going to have to deal with. And a good idea to probably look at the hemp industry, since it is federally legal. And those guys do have to deal with, certain other federal entities we don't. So it might be a good idea for, everyone to kind of look at that, kind of figure it out. And maybe even contact some of these federal agencies and, just ask them directly. If, let's say, they reschedule to 3, what will I have to do? To get up to par. So that way, once those regulations go into effect, you're hitting the ground running, and you don't have to worry about everything. This is going to be another bubble, most likely within the industry. Yeah.
Hack it out. Sorry.
Oh, you're all right, man. Okay, you're good. More editing! Yeah, you get to edit. Can you pause or just gonna record? You all right?
All right, I'm going to pause the recording.
Okay. Do not want to go to Schedule 3 because they would rather pay that $280 tax versus being something over here wonky that we don't even know what's going to happen yet.
Texas.
Yeah, exactly. So Texas might just be a Schedule 3 state, and they might put that in their law where you have to be. New Mexico, I could see us doing something where it's split down the middle. You can be 280E or you can be Schedule 3. Either way, they're getting your money. And I'm kind of afraid of that because that just, why?
More hands in it.
Why?
Less regulation, more hands in it. It's regulated but uncontrolled.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not policed, if
Yeah.
you will.
Because, a lot of people think that right away the states are going, oh, yeah, every state's just going to do Schedule 3. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, certain states are going to fight that and not want to do it because of whatever reason.
Because of who they are.
Yeah. And so that's one of the fears that I can see coming from that, and I can see kind of happening and people bringing it up because there's legal scholars out there who believe that this is really going to make you have to. Some of them believe that okay, you might have to do a pharmacist, but this is also like a little loophole being Schedule 3. It's going to be like cough syrup, it's going to be like, oh, every use for cannabis now is going to be medicinal on Schedule 3. And if you don't use it medicinally, there's still a federal penalty that comes behind it. So Schedule 3 doesn't mean that the user is free from a penalty. It just means that the industry is free from a federal penalty. It doesn't mean that you're safe consuming it. You still have to consume it medicinally, according to the legal scholars that,
You can still get locked up for drinking too much cough syrup.
Yeah, that's true. Schedule 3. So, and that's where that comes in. And guys, take a look at schedules sometimes, give it a look. It's hilarious what's on Schedule 3. Because if you look at Schedule 1, you have cannabis on there with heroin, and then you have fentanyl on, I think, on Schedule 2. I think Schedule 2 or Schedule 3 with it. And it's ridiculous because we know how deadly fentanyl is because it's literally killing people right now as I speak. So that's one thing that I will say about the scheduling that has always been weird to me because they have certain things on there that just don't belong, in my opinion. And we've seen through science and through time, and even now the Human and Health and Services are saying it doesn't belong there. It belongs on Schedule 3 at the least. But I hope the DEA has enough sense to see that there is going to be a split industry in certain states, meaning I'm going to nickname it now. It's going to be a 280E industry or a Schedule 3 industry. That's the easiest way to tell them a different apart. One's paying a federal drug illegal tax and one's paying a regular bracket tax, but they're in a Schedule 3 bracket with other big pharma guys that are going to be competing with them too. And that's another fear that a lot of people in the industry have been saying for a long time is the fear of big pharma. I'm not too sure if you have that same kind of feel or fear.
I think everybody kind of thinks I am big pharma. We're the biggest indoor facility in the state, as far as I know.
Yeah,
there are bigger outdoor facilities and hoop houses and greenhouses and such, but I think we're the largest indoor facility. I've got 1,000 lights burning. And I think everybody kind of looks at us as that, even though we are all local people, we are all local grown, we're just a big company.
Yeah.
But we're not big pharma.
Yeah.
We're not Marlboro.
Yeah.
We're just not. But we are big. And I think that bothers people too, for whatever their reasons may be.
Yeah, 100%. And I will give some pros of everything that's going on. Like I said, we'll stop paying 280E. We'll pay regular taxes. It does open it up for bank accounts for banks to work with us in the industry. It also gives employees a little bit more protection. It allows the employer to now make tax deductions, which is a huge plus because a lot of the places are eating the taxes. And that actually might be a huge benefit for some people to move to Schedule 3, because they'll save the money there. There's going to be the stubborn ones that stay on the 280E. We all know that's going to happen. But as I'm talking now, I'm realizing that we're more than likely going to have two different industries if that does happen, unfortunately. But
if they allow them to pick.
Yeah, if they allow them to pick, we'll see what happens. Certain states might just say, no, it's just everything's going to go Schedule 3. I don't know what to tell you guys. Figure it out. But you have those rogue states, and I know that one will stay behind. You know what I mean? And we'll see what happens there. This big experiment that this is already. So we'll see what really happens when it comes from this with the DEA. If they could take 10 years on this decision if they want, to be honest, they don't have to give it to us. At the time period that I'm giving, I'm just giving an estimate and a guess of when it's going to come out. And from what people have told me, from around the industry too, kind of what they feel too is. Late spring, early summer, and I kind of feel that'd be a good timeline, especially being in an election year. So, yeah, would you have anything else on that?
No, it definitely, because it's an election year, a presidential election year, we will see some crazy things happen. Some of that stuff will happen overnight. If they're looking for a vote in a certain sector.
Yeah.
They can sneak a lot in and they can sneak a lot out during the same session for the same reason.
Yeah, and I did want to add too, that some of the legal scholars say that it's impossible for us to decriminalize because we, international law, we have to go by international law. We could get in trouble, but Canada did it, and I don't see anybody really giving them a big complaint or anything. So I think that's just people being paranoid and really breaking it down and just kind of going to every little possibility that could happen. In my opinion,
the biggest things that happens for anybody in Las Cruces, and it's not just myself, we're south of the Border Patrol.
Yeah.
So anything that we produce here, I have very limited access to the rest of the state to get my product out, where everybody else in the rest of the state can come down here and bring their products in here, no problem. So we're not really playing on level playing grounds here, on even playing grounds.
Even in the state, yeah.
Within the state.
Yeah.
So the rescheduling might do, us some good. Us being anybody south of the Border Patrol, because then the Border Patrol will have legal action to back off on what they consider a federal offense. And then we'll be able to cross state lines. So if I start producing one amazing product like our water soluble drinks are going to be, then we could take that across state lines. So to me, that's a positive thing. Again, there's a lot of negatives that could come with it.
Yeah, I mean, with every positive comes some kind of negative, and in this sense,
especially with the federal government.
yeah, we all know that one, and I'm sure everybody in the industry could agree with this on that one. So either way, it's a great idea to contact your representatives, guys. To tell them what you feel should happen, and to contact the DEA respectfully, of course. Don't start emailing people angrily, all caps, and start cussing. Please talk to people respectfully, like you would want to be talked to, because we can disagree, but we don't have to yell at each other. There's really no point of that. So that's everything I had for the DEA thing for now. Once we get any more updates, I'll keep you guys updated. I'll put it on my socials. This was on my socials first because we were on the break from season 1 to season 2. But I wanted to update you guys on those 2 important things that's really happening right now. As the weeks go on, I'll update you guys more what's going on. So that's really what I have for the show. But I got a couple more bonus informations for you. As you guys know, I've been doing these town halls around the state, trying to get the local businesses, in those areas, their opinions of what's going on, how we can fix this industry, what we can do, because we really want to try to get this put into a bill eventually in the end. And I kind of feel that would be helpful. I know this year it probably won't pass, but it's something good to have next year because it's a bill by the industry. We're really getting a consensus of what everybody wants and needs. And that's kind of really what I want. So the more of you that show up to these town halls, the better information and data that we get to put in there, because this is something that you guys have been telling us. And, we're going into this non-biasedly. We allow you guys to talk, to give your piece, and we, write down exactly what you say. So if you guys want, we're doing 3 more this month. I know, crazy, right? We're going to be in Clovis, Carlsbad, and Hobbs. This week we'll be in Carlsbad. So this Friday, January 12th at 610 North Canal in Carlsbad, and it's going to be 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. So the following week we're going to be in Clovis and Hobbs. So keep that in mind. These 2 are going to be going on at the same time. The good people at the Plug NM are going to be helping us with this one. They're going to be conducting the Clovis meeting while we're down south in Hobbs, or more south, down in Hobbs, and we're going to conduct that meeting at the exact same time they are. So we're going to have 2 different meetings going on at the same time. So those of you in Clovis can all go and attend that meeting, put all your data in, and give them everything that you want to spiel. And us down in Hobbs, we're going to do the same thing. So the Clovis location will be at Nature's Solution. That address is 1301 North Prince, and that's Clovis, New Mexico. That's going to be the same time, 5 o'clock to 6:30. And then down in Hobbs, we're at the same exact time, 5 to 6:30. We're going to be at Strained Gardens, and that's at 321 East Alston Street, and that's Hobbs, New Mexico. So if you guys are in the industry, if you know anybody, I'll have the flyer out here probably later today, and I'll be sharing it every day up until the events of these. If you guys could attend these, that would be great. We've been getting a lot of great feedback and information and data from people around the industry, because we went to Albuquerque, Solon Park, here in Cruces, and now we're going to be headed to Eastern New Mexico to collect more data. So if you guys can show up, that would be great. So thank you again to Quality Packaging for sponsoring today's episode. You can again find them on Instagram at Quality Customs with a K, or contact Josh Villegas at 575-571-6288. They are providing the cannabis industry with great packaging, custom boxes, designs, and signs. Quality made men with quality made products. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. That wraps it up for this week. Thank you again for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, I can't wait to go down and check that grow. Should be a fun time.
Anytime.
Yeah, and try the waffles. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. We'll have another good episode. I'll keep you guys updated. All right, shoots.
Thank you.